way, but you didn't know it's temporary anyway.
I know.
And you wrote the book in response to that.
No.
If we can't do that, let's set up another thing. Let's write a book.
Yeah, the book was not in response to that. It was really, I wanted to kill time. I had too much time. We spent hours at home every day. For a month, 2 months, I was like, I can't just sit. I have to do something. So initially, I put together some of the articles that I wrote on social media. And then I was like, let me try to create a story around these articles. And then later, it was not coming together. And then I was like, but I think I have a really good story to tell about my life and my finances, right? Everything that we have been speaking about now, losing the house, how I grew up, being raised by two parents who were middle income earners, who had no investments, no properties, no ideas around business and stuff like that, and I know that an average person comes from that background. So if I can write a story of how I lived and how I overcame that eventually with time, then maybe a lot of people will resonate with that. So that's really how Masheleng was birthed.
Okay, so when you look at your industry, what are some of the things that you wish every entrepreneur knew?
I think uniqueness, it's a special thing, when you tap into your unique features, because how many people understand finance? How many people can speak finance? A lot of people can speak finance. But what is then unique about how I teach finance, right? I make it quite relatable to people because I link it to my story of life. And no one can copy my story of life. It's my story of life, right? So when other people are setting up and they're trying to set up something like Masheleng, I'm always confident that they can't do it the way that I do it because Masheleng, it's my story, right? So all of my businesses are built around my story. So I always tell guys, you know what? You are unique. Stop copying other people. If you are a loud speaker, speak loudly. Trust me, there's a market of people who want loudspeakers, right? If you are a soft-spoken person, there's a market of people who like soft-spoken people, right? But we have this thing of thinking that there's an ideal avatar, of a human being that we need to be creating that says this person is for everyone. There's no one like that. I mean, some of the biggest influencers right now that we know, they have maybe, who are speakers, they have maybe a couple of millions of people following them. But in this world, we've got billions of people. We've got over 8 billion people. So if those guys are supposed to be what we must mirror, why don't they have 2 billion people in their platforms? They don't.
Or even one.
Or even 1 billion. They don't. Uniqueness is very important, but sometimes it can take time because you need a lot of belief. You need to really believe that you are unique, you are special in a certain way. And then when you try to throw that to the market, you see how they respond. You will have 1 or 2 people who are going to say, you know what? You touched me here. I like the way that you speak, right? Can you try to do this? Can you try to do this? But trust me, if I was to speak like Vusi Tembekwayo, I would fail terribly. I would fail terribly. He's very good at what he does, but that is not my style. I have to use my style, right? If I was going to try to speak like you, I will fail terribly. And every time when we go to speaking engagements, you'll always outshine me because you are being yourself. So I think that is the problem that we have with a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs, they're not tapping into their uniqueness. They just want to do what has been written there to say, this is what we need to mirror.
So what are then the biggest myths that are there about your industry that people have believed for many years?
In finance, if we speak to the African child, one, finance has always been a European thing.
Yeah.
For us, our interest was maybe we could do construction, we could do this and that, right? But finance has always been Diotsamakoa. Even the books that we still read today around finance, we tell a lot of Diotsamakoa. But I think for Africans, what killed us the most is this general belief that black people are meant for certain industries, and there are certain industries that actually control the world as we know it, which is mostly the media. And we have taken finance to the media because it is the influence that we need to give to our people so that our people can then see that this is actually possible. So we use media to speak finance. We use media to disseminate the message of finance in the African perspective, right? So I think for us, it has been a thing of trying to kill those myths of saying, look, the finance industry is for certain types of people. I mean, look at banks. Who owns banks? Look at insurance companies. Who owns insurance companies? Look at fund managers. Who does fund management, right? These are industries that control economies. And black people are not in there. But you'll find them in there working most of the time, right? So if we can have an understanding around industries that actually control the economy, I think a lot of black people will actually start, doing wonders. And finance is just one of them. I was just fortunate to have been inducted into financial services quite early, in my career.
So, do you have some pivotal moments where you've had to take risks, especially risks that you think the normal person wouldn't take, that actually changed the trajectory of your career?
One would have been me living a good job in corporate with 5 kids.
You had 5 kids when you left?
No, when I left, I had 4. When I left, I had 4. I have 5 now.
You and your father, same WhatsApp group.
You have to mirror your father.
If I was to mirror my father, I'd have 14 kids. And I still have 1.
No, you have a long way to go.
I have a long way to go.
Yeah, so that was one of the risks. And I'll tell you why I'm saying it was a big risk. I have never known anyone who does business in my family. Business was a totally new concept to me. And the only stories that I knew about business was of people who had tried and failed. Right? That uncle who tried and failed, and then they got bankrupt. Those were the only stories that I had. So I would say that was a big risk for me. But being an entrepreneur, I think the greatest risks that I took, and I'm not trying to get anyone into trouble to try and do things the way that I did it. Balancing my commitments to pay off my debts, my personal debts, and growing the business.